Oh man, just finished watching Dallas, man. Like this team here, man. Like it got to the point where I just felt bad. Like the fumble, interception. I'm just like, oh, it's just piling up, and I love it.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, we cover Week 10 of the NFL season, Segment 1, Best, Worst, and Most Surprising Actions of the Weekend, Segment 2, Story of the Week, When Do You Just Quit? And in Segment 3, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. Joining us, and he's here all week, fans. Captain for life, Will Cotton. Will, what's the best thing you saw in NFL action today?
I'm not gonna hate, man. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills, man. They had a great game this day. Josh Allen played terrible. They had no wide receivers. Keon Coleman was hurt. Cooper was hurt, and they still came out with the win. You know, tough win, tough win. Usually a trap game, especially at home in Indianapolis. And they actually, gutted it through. So the best thing I thought was them having the resilience of the Buffalo Bills. So let's keep going.
All right, and the quote to color purple. My God, the dead has arisen. Byron Campbell has joined us. No George Acker today, but feel better. Byron, first of all, good to see you, and second of all, what's the best thing you saw today?
I think the Steelers, man. I think the Steelers, they might be the real deal. Again, we haven't gotten to the meat of their schedule, but they got a great win against a good Commanders team today. So I'm interested to see how they do against the Ravens next week. And you know what I mean? And I mean they haven't played a divisional game yet. So we'll see how that goes. But they proved that they're a real deal. They're picking up Mike Williams. The offense looks good under Russell. So look, this team is gonna be a team to reckon with, man.
And Mike Williams was the guy that caught that last touchdown, wasn't he?
Yep.
Hmm.
Back in
Yes.
the end zone.
All
Yep.
right. A lot of Steeler fans in the Commander Stadium today, I saw. All
Every
right.
year. Oh, every year.
Every
They
year.
travel so
I
well. I
saw
ain't
the
gonna hate.
towels. I was like,
They
uh,
travel well all the time. So yeah, I get it.
all right. Fowler, what was the worst thing you saw today?
Oh man, just finished watching Dallas, man. Like this team here, man. Like it got to the point where I just felt bad. Like the fumble, interception. I'm just like, oh, it's just piling up, and I love it.
And that takes us to segment two. When do you quit? So we'll be talking about that in segment two.
Okay, okay.
God, man, what's the worst thing you saw today?
Oh man, gotta be Chicago. You
Oh,
know, Chicago had an opportunity to come back on a strong loss. A tough loss against the Commanders. And then you go back against New England, and you're like, man, we're at home. This team sucks. You know, Drake May is he's okay or whatever it is, and he doesn't play that well. Whatever. And then you lose, and then you don't even score a touchdown. All you do is have a field goal. Like all you had is 3 points. It was terrible. And Caleb, I mean, he was terrible. I mean, he was not the kid that even the loss in the Commanders against Steelers, Jay Daniels immensely better than Caleb Williams. It's not even close. Caleb Williams, maybe he stopped or he began. I don't know. It's a long process. I understand he's young, but man, this kid really like pooped the bed, and he did not do well today. So yeah, worst thing is for the Bears, man. Their coach is looking on thin ice too.
yeah. I got to ask you, Will. Let me ask you, and Fowler, feel free to chime in after Will. I've not been a super big fan of Caleb Williams. You guys know how I like to coach. And one of the reasons why I'm not a super fan, and this is a football thing, this is nothing personal. He's a lovely guy. I know his coaches and so forth from high school, but he ain't hard boiled. I ain't seen a lot of challenge. I ain't seen a lot of scabs. Seen a lot of scar tissue. A lot of stuff been done for him. The NIL in college, the number one pick, and now you in the Central or the NFC North, and you battling. And in terms of being a number one pick, he had a good defense. He had some weapons around him, and he's underperforming, or am I just being too hard as Coach Adams will? Let me know your thoughts and follow, and feel free to chime in before we do most surprising.
Oh, I think for me, yeah, he's still young. He's still, he's gonna have his ups and downs. Again, it's still November. We still have like what 7 or 8 games left. Long season, if you know, and they're still in the mix. He's gonna have bad games. He's gonna have good games. The biggest thing that he's gonna have to do is figure out, how do you minimize those bad games and keep going. But I mean, he's right there in the mix. Sliding the wrong way. I think San Francisco is a much better path toward the playoff than the Bears. But these are growing pains. These are growing pains. Now, coach, if he's doing the same stuff next year, late next year, like November, December, then yeah, I'm like, oh, this dude, this what's going on. But he's still young. He's still trying to understand the nuances of the NFL. So now that he's going through this next quarter of the season, it's like, hey, we've already seen what you got. We got tape on you now. We've seen that. Like you ain't gonna get away with this. Like nice try. You know what I'm saying? Like you try to do this all the time, but we seen this. That's how smart the game is.
Yeah.
And I think once he understands that he has to keep improving, keep progressing his game, then yeah, he'll catch up. But if he's doing the same stuff next year, coach, yeah, I'm gonna be like, I'd be very upset. But this is rookie season, so
Following, am I being too critical of the first year player?
Yeah, I mean, he was sacked 9 times today. 9. Like, I mean, last game he was sacked 6 times. So the game before that, 3, and the game before that, like he's constantly getting pressured in the backfield. Now, CJ is the same thing. He makes it look good. His second year under his belt. Caleb just has to understand, like, look, man, I'm gonna be running for my life. So, like, you either protect him better or you find different ways to get the ball out quicker. But I think Caleb has the talent. It's just again, I mean, the same thing Fields dealt with last year. You know what I mean? Like a bad O line. So let's give him grace. Let's give him time. Hopefully, the offensive coordinator can figure something out where they're getting the ball out quicker or something like
Oh,
that.
he won't have to worry about it. He will not be there
He
next
went,
week.
well,
It will
we
not
can
be his
get
job
a
to
new
worry
get a
about
new
that.
one in there.
He'll be in Florida State. Okay.
right.
Hey, Paulo, what's the most surprising thing you saw today?
Oh man, the most surprising thing is I don't understand how the Chiefs find a way every single weekend. They just find a way to get it done. Like I was like, this is a loss. This is a loss. Kick the field goal, bam, it's done. They blocked the field goal and they're still undefeated. Like exactly. They just find a way, and it's almost to this point. It's scary, actually. It's a little scary. You know what I
Because
mean?
they have not played well this season.
They haven't, and then
They're the
again,
worst looking undefeated team
Terribly.
I've seen
and
ever.
did
Right.
did
Never
Worthy
seen it.
is Worthy out? Did he get hurt? I think he got hurt today. So they lost another receiver. But again, Caleb, I mean, I'm sorry, not Caleb. Pat Mahomes just finds a way to win games and his team. So yeah.
Looking like you in Saturday League with Sergio. All right. Inside joke. Cotton Man, what's the most surprising thing you've seen this weekend?
I was surprised that the Saints beat the Falcons.
Oh,
I
man.
thought the Falcons had the opportunity. They were -3.5, which is obviously a danger, a line. But still, I think that's a team that you got to walk in and beat and make it early and
And
beat
they
them.
fired their coach, and
And they
they played
fired
him.
their coach. Olave wasn't playing. I think Olave's done with the season. The other receivers done for the season. So I'm just like, how are you losing these games? You can't just pull like Taysom Hill and be like, hey, we're gonna beat you now. It's like, no, I was very surprised that Atlanta lost that game. I thought they were gonna have another leg on the division, but that just makes it a little bit more interesting because if you look at actually where I mean, it's 4 and then 6. I mean, Tampa has 4, Atlanta has 6. I mean, you have a bad week, you're right there. So we'll see what's going on, but that was a bad loss for the Falcons, in my opinion.
All right. So, fans, in segment 2, we're gonna ask the question, when do you just quit on the season? And we're gonna find out from our panelists when they think you should just give it up and play for next year. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the iCoaches Podcast. In segment 2, our story of the week is, when do you just quit on the season? Back in the late 90s, I was coaching at Paint Branch. I was an assistant coach, and we had a very good JV team, but we just kind of knew the varsity team wasn't going to do much. So instead of loading the varsity team up with a lot of young guys, we said, man, let these old guys play out and keep these young guys together. And whatever they get is whatever they get. And those young guys ended up winning the state championship in 2000 and losing one game in 2001. Sean Sears was part of that team. You've seen him on the show, which made me think about the Dallas Cowboys. So, fellas, Dak Prescott is dealing with a partial illusion of his right hamstring, which means part of the tendon has pulled away from the bone. Now, when I told my wife that, and her undergrad had a little bit of sports training in it, she looked at me and said, "What did you say?" I repeated it, and she said, without missing a beat, "He's done for the season." I don't know what they're going to say on TV, but I know what that injury is, and he's done. So now you've paid a guy a lot of money, and he's not going to play this year. In addition, your left tackle last year sustained that same injury during training camp, and it required surgery, and he sat out 13 games. So the Cowboys are going to start Cooper Rush and not Bigfoot. Will Cotton will explain that. And Bigfoot will serve as his backup. So, Will, let me just get to you. Do you just quit on the season, or what do you do if you're Dallas?
You don't quit on the season in a way. You're an organization. I think the best thing you should do is go away and see your talent. Do your evaluation. This is the best time for you to know, because if you, in your mind, or even statistically, if you said that this season is over for us, so get a jump on next season. Keep guys that you know are going to be part of the culture. Remove the guys that you're seeing in the game and you're like, yeah, we're not going to make it with this guy. Or a guy who blows up and is like, maybe we can trade him. As an organization, you should be already preparing for yourself and not just sitting and saying, that's it. It is whatever. But even if you go through that process, you probably won't win enough games that you'll still be in a good position to have a good draft pick. And if you win, then you excite the crowd base, the crowd base. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, "Oh man," or the fan base. I'm sorry. They're like, "Oh man, we're excited about next year. We got these young players." Da 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 da. It's all how you look at things. You know what I'm
But
saying?
they're
I
not
know
playing
Dallas,
trade. I mean, how bad do you
because
have
he's
to
not
be
good.
if
They
you're
know
not
he's not
playing
good.
trade?
They
They
know he's
traded
not good.
for him.
No, he's not good. They're not going to show him because he's a potential trade bait. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to get traded again. They tried to trade him before the trade deadline and they couldn't do it. But they're not going to show him. They're not going to show their hand. It's like if you have two of spades or a three of spades. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to show nobody that you have a three of spades. You know what I'm saying? You're going to do your best to hold on that joint and play it properly, and you win that book. And that's what they're trying to do. But the problem is, everybody knows he has a three of a spade. So it doesn't matter. He's a bum. Like, it's not even like it's like you have some secret thing. Like, so I think the best thing they should do is you may not look for different. You have to change your goal. So if your goal is no longer to make the playoffs, then the goal is sustain your roster, keep the people that is worth on your culture, remove the people that are not, that you can trim the fat pretty easily, move contractors away. Because obviously it's very expensive right now with those guys. And right now it's looking like I would find a way to trim the fat to keep Micah Parsons.
Following, you actually watched this game today. Do you just give up? What do you do, man?
Look, man, we're in tank mode. We're in full out tank mode. I like at this point, you've lost your quarterback for the season. He's gone. He's done. So now, okay, I get it. You don't want to show your hand with Trey Lance, but for me, I'm throwing Trey Lance out. Like Dak is my guy. He's obviously my guy, regardless of how bad he looks, how good he looks. He's my guy. I paid him. Now throw Trey Lance out there, see what he does. If he plays well, cool, good. That builds his trade market. If not, all right, well, we just sit him back and he's the third QB again. But I gotta do something. I gotta get something for him. And now at this point, it's just about getting draft picks and like you said, trim the fat. Maybe you trade Lawrence. You got to keep Micah. I agree with that. But after that, it's just like you got to find a way to build this team in the off season, man. And I don't know what kind of money they'll have after they sign Micah. But maybe you get some trade bait from Trey Lance. I don't know. And Lawrence, but this team is done for the season. They're done. So now again, it's just thinking about the future and what Jerry Jones can do for them in next year.
All right. Speaking of done following, I'm going to start with you, sir. The Cleveland Browns. So the general manager was non-committal when he was asked last week about Deshaun Watson standing as the franchise quarterback. Before his injury, and nobody wants anybody injured, he had the lowest total QBR of any qualified passer, and the Browns were 1-5 in his 6 starts before his injury. The Browns still owe him $46 million in each of the next 2 seasons. His cap hits of $72.9 million in 2025 and 2026. Both are slated to be the second highest in the NFL. Cleveland would take on a dead cap hit of $172 million and $99 million in the next 2 years if the team were to part ways with him after this season. All right, Shaq, you get one Shaq tonight. What are you doing if you're Cleveland, man?
Man, I hate to say it. Like I was rooting for Deshaun, man, but he come with too much baggage, man.
You
Um,
saw the numbers, man. You saw the
and
money.
the numbers don't line up. And if I Cleveland's already in a bad situation. Like if I'm them, you do what the Broncos did. You might have to get him off your roster, send him somewhere. I understand the cap hit is crazy. But I'm going with Dorian Thompson Robinson or somebody for a year. Like nobody wants to go to Cleveland. You saw Brandon Ayuk didn't even want to take a max deal to go. Like it's just a bad organization. You know what I mean? So we back and rebuild. You know what I mean? We're back and rebuilding. Deshaun is just not the guy. And you paid all this money, and I know the owner wants to keep him, but it's just a good look for the organization.
Oh man, Cotton man, you saw those digits, man. What are we doing if you're Cleveland? Do you just
Yeah, I
quit?
don't, they're just locked in. I mean, they're really in a point now where even with the money, I mean, I'm looking at the money. Next year he makes $46 million, and he makes $46 million a year after that. I mean, at some point, you have a couple options. I mean, I think next year he's the quarterback. I think next year he's the quarterback. I don't care what it is. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if one leg is falling off. I don't care if you're losing your arm. I don't care if you're blind in one eye. You are going to play for every one of them dollars out there. You know what I'm
But he
saying?
was terrible. He was the worst documented quarterback in the league.
That
Oh,
is what they're going to have to suffer. That is what they're going to have to suffer. I mean, the contract is crazy. I mean, everything is backloaded too, and everything is fully guaranteed. I mean, the next 2 years, Cleveland just are going to be like a no man's land. It's just not going to be a place where you can thrive. I don't expect them to be any good. I mean, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like if we owe him that kind of money, how can we restructure this that we can move forward and you like we'll pay you after you retire. I mean, do like something crazy where it's like, man, we'll pay you $2 million for the next like 70 years in your life or whatever it is, like something to get them off the books, get the energy off because, or just pay the money the next 2 years and call it a day.
I'm
But
getting a rookie myself, man. I'm getting one of these rookies coming in. And then I have the San Francisco situation where I got X amount of dollars allocated for the quarterback position, but the kid's going to play or something like that. We'll figure that out. But he's stuck. I mean, the NFL ain't the NBA. I don't know any owners that are Mark Cuban that are going to take all that money on and be like, all right, Steve Ballmer will take on that money. Cleveland's not taking.
I mean, the Broncos did it, so I mean, I don't know.
That's depressing. All right, I'm
a lot of
depressed
money.
now. So in segment 3, we're going to talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only because I'll be undepressed. And I'm leaning on Will Cotton to give us a top 5. We'll be right back on the Hot
Got it.
Coaches
That's a 10.
Podcast.
That's a 5.
This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Eye Coaches Podcast in segment 3. Cotton Man, what is on top 5? Sir, the floor is yours.
Top 5 is the Chiefs, Lions, Ravens, Buffalo, Steelers.
All right,
That's
following. Agree or disagree?
What was 4 again?
Buffalo is my 4th.
I'll take that. I might slide the Steelers up a little bit over Buffalo. And I can easily put the Commanders in there at 5 and take Buffalo out, but I'm okay with that top 5. I'm okay with that.
All right, so season-long bets. We've got Baltimore and Pittsburgh with the overs, and both of them have 7 wins. So we are chugging along. AFC South, no to Jacksonville, and Tennessee keeps losing, so that's going to help me. AFC East, not a fan of the Dolphins, and Buffalo, the over was 10.5. They're already at 8 wins. In the West, Denver's at 5 wins. Next win, they win. But the Las Vegas Raiders will continue to be of assistance to me. NFC North, Detroit and Green Bay are chugging along to good seasons. NFC South, Atlanta's over 9.5. They got 6, should have won today. I don't know what's wrong with you. But fellas, I took Carolina over 5.5, and they're at 3 wins. Maybe I'm onto something. Probably not, but that's okay. NFC East, Washington is already gone and taking me to the pay window, so everything else is just bonus. And Dallas is not. I'm just going to say that. And in the West, the 2 teams I picked, Rams and Arizona. I didn't expect Arizona to do anything but win over 7 games, but they're doing more. And are they still in first place? Sorry about that, following, but are they still in first place in the West?
Yes. So they won
All
it.
right. Well, all right. My Super 7 bets. I was again last week 4-3, this week 4-3. Game of the week, Pittsburgh plus 2.5. Way to go. My 2 play was Atlanta minus 3.5 and Arizona -1 against the Jets. And yes, I'm glad the Jets keep stinking up the joint. My 3 play hit. Chargers -7.5, Buffalo -4, and Minnesota's -4. But Sam Darnold's looking very familiar these days. That's the dude I knew. I don't know who this other guy was, but he's looking like Sam Darnold. So we're going to be very mindful of how we pick the Vikings moving forward. My
Yes,
fourth,
he's back to being a pumpkin. He's back to being a pumpkin.
and speaking of
Struck midnight.
pumpkins,
Bong.
I had a four-play: Philly, Chargers, San Francisco, and Chicago lost New England.
Man.
Come on.
Ah.
At home.
I had Atlanta,
See,
New Orleans.
bad thing I saw today.
I tell you, I had Atlanta and New Orleans over 46 and a half. There's no Kirk Cousins slander because he stole the money fair and square, but there was a reason he was available. But that's another story for another day. I took the under Giants, Carolina, under 41 and a half. That's the end of the European games, and I couldn't come soon enough. And my upset pick was Pittsburgh straight up over the Commanders. A little closer than I thought, but hey, I'll take the win. Uh, Will, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only this week?
So not a lot of like some anytime touchdowns. There are a lot of guys who didn't score. I was kind of surprised that Justin Jefferson didn't score at least once. That guy was supposed to his bar. That's his boy, Jamar Chase. I know they were calling each other. I know they were talking trash. It was a great matchup for him, and he just didn't come through, man. He had Dalton had like what 2 interceptions in the red zone. So, it kind of ruined his day for him for sure, man, for sure. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor didn't score. That's another game where you have to score, man. So there's just a lot of guys who just didn't score that I thought were going to score because of the matchup, and didn't happen the way it is. So I'll be working again tomorrow or Tuesday, I should say.
All right. So next week is week 11. We've got Washington and Philly on Thursday, Green Bay versus Chicago. I'm thinking I'm just going to go straight with Green Bay. Jacksonville, Detroit, Minnesota, Tennessee, Vegas, Miami, Rams, and the Patriots. The Browns versus New Orleans. That should be interesting. Indianapolis at the Jets. Baltimore, Pittsburgh is shaping up to be the game of the week. Atlanta, Denver. Following Seattle, San Francisco. That's always a battle when it shouldn't be. KC is traveling to Buffalo. Is next week the time that we lose? Cincinnati against the Chargers is Sunday night, and Houston and Dallas is Monday night. I'm sure they're pissed off about that. Bye weeks: Giants, Arizona, Tampa Bay, and Carolina.
They
Following
all need it.
any game
They
next
they
week.
need all of them jobs to get them bums out of here.
Any game next week that has caught your interest, sir?
I'm gonna go with obviously the big game, Baltimore and Pittsburgh. That's gonna be the game of the week in Pittsburgh. I want to see if Pittsburgh the real deal. And they always Pittsburgh always beats them. So we're gonna see if Baltimore with Derek King Henry,
He's
because
killing. He's killing.
so it's gonna be I think it's gonna be a dogfight. Matter of fact, that's the game of the week. That's the only game.
All right. Cotton Man, anything next week catch your eye, man?
There's a lot of good games. I think Seattle versus San Francisco is going to be a good game. They're tight. They're not as far away on record wise they are, even though I think San Francisco should take care of them at home, no problem.
Following will tell you Seattle always causes trouble for like no reason.
Yeah, but I like them now. They feel like they got McCaffrey back. They seem like they're trying to, and he looks healthy, not just like I'm a pitch count kind of thing. He looks good. I saw that one crazy catch he had where they kind of lobbed it to him and he caught it, and I was like, oh yeah, this dude's feeling good, feeling back. So they have 3 running backs that can just run the ball. I think they're going to be a little trouble for Seattle. But like you said, division game. Buffalo versus KC, everybody's going to want to turn for him. It's going to be a big quarterback matchup. Again, 2 quarterbacks who are stars who are not playing like stars this season. I mean, Josh Allen's not playing MVP caliber kind of playing. Mahomes is playing very pedestrian. Things like that, like a game manager, but I don't know. So I assume there will be a lot of excitement. I'm not staying away. Everybody's gonna catch a pass from anybody in that game. Ain't gonna be no person. I hope Keon Coleman does play. I hope Cooper plays. That'd be great for them. And obviously Thursday we'll see another growth for the Washington Commanders, coming back off a loss. Try if they get on an early a short week, trying to go back, be a good team for the division. That's going to be a good thing for Jaden Daniels. How does he look? How does he coming back? Things like that. So I'm not so focused on the wins because Washington is like, I didn't expect him to do too much this year, but I want to see the tests of giving of Jaden Daniels and how he rises to his challenges through the season. So I'll be interested to a couple games for sure. And obviously, strictly entertainment, I'll throw something in there to make myself a little fun. Anyway, man,
Yeah, I'm curious about the Commanders playing on short rest. They got a young quarterback, so young legs run free. And then they'll get some extended time off. And their upcoming schedule is not, the daunting task of what many other teams are going through. So if they can get this win against the Eagles, they kind of solidify themselves in first place. And then a steady diet of Dallas and the Giants. Playoffs are not too far off, and maybe they can even host a game if they win the NFC. So, on behalf of my former players, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Eye Coaches podcast, and we'll see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Eye Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.